So there's some research on direct instruction, and most of the stuff from this chapter is derived from the process product studies. So that's where observers, they compare students in low performing classrooms to students in high performing classrooms, and they're comparing the ways that the teachers teach their practices. So that research can improve skills, basic skills like at the elementary level, like reading and math. So the next section is on concepts, and concepts are just abstract ideas that are generalized from specific examples. So if you had a red ball, a red pen, and a red candy, you would know that they're all red. The concept is red. And the example that I gave was an M&M, a Skittle, and a lollipop all illustrate the concept of candy. But if all of the candies were red, they would also illustrate the concept red. And concepts are learned in two ways. They can either be observed and experienced or learned by definition. So learning by observation, that's just what you see and then the way that you hear it talked about. So like as a child, you could hear your mom refer to like SUVs, trucks, and motorcycles, all of the things that are similar, all of those vehicles as cars. And then as you get older, you refine concepts and you'll know that they're not all cars. You can differentiate between what's a car and what's not a car. Or you can also learn that by definition, where you know that an aunt is a woman who has a brother or sister who has children. But maybe your mom calls her friend your aunt. Whenever you learn that definition of aunt, you'll know what is an aunt and what isn't an aunt. So for most concepts, the best strategy is to state the definition first, then you provide examples, and then restate the definition and how it's related to the examples. So there's 3 rules for presenting examples of concepts. Order the examples from easy to difficult. Then you select examples that are different from each other so that people can understand it in a different variety of ways. And then you compare and contrast the examples. Real life learning. So that's just teaching students skills that they can use in the real world or that they can apply to like practical situations. So you can't assume that just because a student knows how to do something in class and on a test, and just because they make good grades, that they're going to be able to apply those skills to real life concepts, because that doesn't always happen. And that's called transfer of learning, is whenever you apply the skills or concepts to a real life situation. But one of the most important factors for that is how well the student understood the information in the first place whenever it was first taught. So the teacher should give examples that are similar and that are different, and then that'll increase the chance of the student being able to apply it to all kind of different situations. Okay, so initial learning and transfer learning. Whenever you're introducing a new concept, you should start with simple examples and then go on to more complicated ones. And that'll show students how they can apply that concept to all kinds of situations, not just the one that's on the test. So for an example, when a teacher teaches evolution in class, she might start off with evolution in animals. And then as the students grasp that concept, they'll be able to understand evolution in social behaviors and the economy and etc. Discussions are a big part of class because they allow students to share their knowledge with the teacher and the other classmates. So it's important for the teacher to understand, to have discussions, because she can understand what the students know based on that. So there's subjective or controversial topics that might not just have one simple answer. It's not going to be a yes or no question. And these are things that people can have different opinions on. For example, like if a teacher started a discussion on what caused World War II, it's not just one answer. And students will be able to use the facts and skills that they learned in the class to express their different viewpoints. And that kind of coincides with difficult and novel concepts. So this lets students see concepts in a different perspective. Effective objectives. These objectives are concerned with the attitudes and values of students. So that's like in a civics class, whenever the teacher is talking about how community service is important for being a good citizen. Instead of talking about it, you should